is, so what do I do exactly? करते क्या है? And I get this, मेरे को ट्रेन में कल किसी ने पूछ लिया, I was coming to Jodhpur. So he said, he saw me working on a laptop and he said, आप IT में काम करते हैं? I said, नहीं. Then he said, आप private company में? I said, नहीं. Then he said, फिर आप क्या रिश्तेदारों क्या जा रहे हैं? I said, नहीं, मैं IT जा रहा हूँ. अच्छा तो आप पढ़ते हैं? I said, नहीं पढ़ता है. तो आप क्या क्यों जा रहे हैं आप? पढ़ाने जा रहे हैं? ऐसे नहीं पढ़ाए. So then I had to tell him what I do. He was a nice person, okay? He was just friendly, questions. There's a long journey. बैठे हो कुछ बातें करनी. So I said, sir, मैं वहाँ पे politics के बारे में बात करने आया. कहते politics के बारे में, अच्छा आप election में खड़े हो रहे हैं. So I said no. तो कहते but IIT में politics के बारे में बात करने के लिए. I said that's a very good question. You should ask Rishi. Why did he call me to talk about politics in IIT? But he said नहीं आप करते क्या हो? So he was really curious. He said आप नहीं पर आप बताओ आप करते क्या हो? ये आपको कोई पैसे दे रहा है जाके लेक्चर देने के लिए? I said I wish someone was paying me because I would have loved it and I would have taken it. I'm very shameless. But unfortunately no one is paying me. So he was not convinced. He said I'm not convinced. You tell me what you do exactly and why you are doing it. So we ended up talking and finally slept at midnight and I told him what I did. And I'll try and tell you briefly because we don't want to sit here till midnight, right? So very briefly, I told him I do 2 or 3 things, okay? One is I try and help everyone understand what are good policies and vice versa, what are bad policies. Now, how many of you have heard about this employment guarantee scheme? All of you or some of you? All of you have heard, right? The National Rural Employment Guarantee, right? Etc. etc. Yojana, ye wo, hai na? How many of you are, yeah, narega, marega, whatever, right? Okay, how many of you think it's a good idea? Good idea, okay, good idea. Good idea? Okay, back at the back. Why do you think it's a good idea?
It provides the employment,
Yeah, provides employment, so that's nice, right?
Yes, sir.
But there is, what is the it is right to employment, right? You know that, right? It guarantees employment, is that right? Okay, it guarantees employment for 100 days a year, is that right? So you might say it's a good idea, isn't it? You go to a poor person and say, "Bhai, I will give you a job for 100 days and I'll pay you whatever X amount of money." Now, why is it a bad idea actually? There's nothing wrong in that. The guy is happy, he's getting money. Okay, what happens after that? Next one, rest of 265. There's actually a deeper problem. See, this is where I spend a lot of time on. What is the deeper problem? You want, first of all of you are IIT guys, so sometimes I feel really stupid talking in such groups because I'm probably the least educated here, okay? But I will use a word which you will love, which is a very jargon kind of word, which is root cause analysis. All of you have heard of it, right? Root cause analysis. So when you do root cause analysis, if you take away all the jargon, what it means is try and understand the basic problem. So the basic problem is the person does not have a job. Correct? Why does he or she doesn't have a job? Can be 2 reasons. One, there are no opportunities in the area where they live. Or B, they don't have the skills. Yes or no? There can't be any other reason. Yeah.
Sir, they didn't want to do job.
Hold on. Yeah, just 1 second. I'll come to that. Yeah, they may not want to do a job. I trust me, I don't want to do a job either. But no one gives me 100 days guaranteed employment. They may not want to. We'll come to that separately. But most of the time, they either have no opportunities around them or they are not skilled. And what you do is you say, for 100 days, I will give you a job. But because there are no factories around. So what job do they get? They dig a hole. Well, dig a pit, not a hole, okay? So they dig a pit. And then 50 days they dig a pit and the remaining 50 days they cover it up again. So that the next year they can dig it up again, right? So that goes on. And that's really stupid for 2 reasons. One, is there anything being created while doing that job? There is no asset being created. Nothing is really happening, okay? No roads, no construction. It is supposed to be, but it's not happening. Secondly, worse, no skills are being imparted. Isn't it far better to tell that person for 100 days we'll take you to a hostel, an IIT hostel or a polytechnic and we'll train you to be a driver, an electrician, a plumber or something. For 100 days, we will pay you. We will pay your fees and tuition and everything and you after 100 days you will become a trained electrician or a trained driver, whatever. Wouldn't that be so much better? And imagine the demand for drivers and plumbers and all kind of skilled people. And the person will have skills. And once you have skills, you have opportunities. Okay, that's why you are here. You are here to learn skills. Okay, I mean you are smart, but just being smart is not enough. You need to learn skills. So we are not imparting skills. So it's a fundamentally bad policy. Similarly, the food, right to food. Did you read about that? The right to food? Now people say, oh, how can you argue, with right to food? There are people starving. So I said, look, I'm not arguing with people starving. Of course people are starving, yes. But the way to that is not to say we'll have a right to food. You did have some kind of right to food, which is the ration system. And look what happens. Okay, grains rot in the godowns. So it's a fundamentally stupid policy. Now, just 1 week ago, I read the government is putting another scheme, which is right to medicine. So, this is becoming a joke. Okay, you have a right to education, right to food, right to employment, right to medicine. What else is left? I mean, yeah, right to clothes is next. Then right to wear shoes, nice sneakers, jeans. And where does this end? Okay, this is just ridiculous. You can't have rights and rights and rights. Because someone has to pay, remember. Okay, you can't do this right out of thin air. Ki haan, jadoo ki chhadi wo ye lo ji right. Someone is paying. Who's paying? Your parents are paying. Most probably. I am paying without taxes, right? Someone is paying for those rights. And worse, this is creating an entire generation, as he said, an entire generation that is that comes up believing in entitlements. So an entire generation of young people is growing up in these small towns and rural areas where they believe ये तो हमारा हक है. We are entitled to it. हमें तो 100 दिन रोजगार मिलना ही चाहिए, हमें तो खाना मिलना ही चाहिए, हमें तो medicines मिलने ही चाहिए. Whether we work or not doesn't matter. We have to get it. You see, there's a problem in this thinking. It's never going to, get a country to progress. If an entire generation grows up thinking ये तो हमारा हक है, this is what we are entitled to, no one can take it away from us. That's a big problem. It is like you guys sitting here saying, we are entitled to pass. This is our right. ये तो हमारा हक है कि हमें pass तो होना ही है. And guess what? You're not going to study if you know that. If the IIT director says you have a right to pass in first attempt. Well, बात मस्ती हो गई है तो बैठो आराम से कैंटीन में right to pass है जी. पहुंच जाएंगे अगले साल. बात की बाद में देखेंगे है ना. So that's a fundamentally bad problem. So I spend a lot of time in educating people about these policies and telling them why these things are stupid policies. The second thing is a massive indifference amongst most people, which I touched upon before. No one wants to care about politics. So just changing that takes a lot of time. Telling people, you have to think about politics because it is going to affect you. The only way you will escape it, if you want to escape, only way you will escape it is by going abroad. Otherwise you can't escape it, trust me. And even abroad, in a way, politics affects you because your status abroad will be determined by what your country's policies are. Even a thing like visa, work permit. An American doesn't need a visa to come to Britain. Why? Because of politics. But Indian does need a visa to go to America or to Britain. But a Japanese guy, for example, Japanese don't need a visa to go to America. So everything in the end will link to politics. But this job can be done even by media. Right? Media can help explain bad policies, and there are many social reformers and social activists who work on bad policies. So, is that really necessary for me to spend time on that? Probably not. And this brings me to the real part of what I do.